Today we'll discuss ISI's MTech QROR MCQ paper, and this paper is very similar to ISI's BSTAT and BMath paper. I was quite surprised to see questions are more or less BSTAT and BMath level. The first question is the highest power of 7 that divides factorial 100 is. So here we'll use de Polignac's formula, and that is exponent of prime p in factorial n. So we know that exponent of any prime p in factorial n is given by greatest integer function of n upon p plus greatest integer function of n upon p square, then n upon p cube, and this series will continue, and after a while this expression will be less than 1, so all such terms they'll be 0. Now here we need to find exponent of 7. So we need to find exponent of 7 in factorial 100. So we write this as 100 by 7 plus 100 by 7 square plus 100 by 7 cube, and this series will continue. Now what's 100 by 7? 100 by 7 is 14 point something. So its integral value will be 14, and then 100 divided by 49. So there'll be 2 point something. So it'll be 2, and all the expressions, they are less than 1. So all of them, they'll be 0. So exponent of 7 in factorial 100 will be 16. So the highest power of 7 that divides factorial 100 is 16, and that's your option number C. Now question number 2 is the number of 6-digit positive integers whose sum of digits is at least 52. Now we know that if we take all the digits as 9, 9, 9, 9 and 9, then sum of all the numbers will be 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 will be 54. Now we need this sum to be at least 52. So we'll take this first case. When the sum is 54, in that case we'll have only one number. Now if we'll take the second case, when the sum is 53, then we'll replace one of the 9 with 8. So it'll be 9, 9, 9, 9, 9 and 8. Now how many such numbers can be formed? So the total number of such numbers will be factorial 6, and then we have 5 9s divided by factorial 5. So there'll be 6 such numbers. And finally, we'll have all the numbers when the sum is 52. Now if the sum is 52, we need to remove 2. So either it could be 9, 9, 9, 9, 9 and 7. And here total number of numbers will be factorial 6 divided by factorial 5. Again it will be 6. Or it will be 9, 9, 9, 9 and then it will be 8 and 8. So here it will be factorial 6 divided by factorial 4, factorial 2. Now here it will be simply 15. So total number of such numbers will be 12 plus 1, 13. 13 plus 15 is 28, and that's your option number D. Now here the question is, we need to find sum of all 3-digit numbers that leaves a remainder of 2 when divided by 3. So we know that 3-digit number, they start with 100 and they go all the way up to 999. Now the first number when divided by 3 leaves the remainder 2, it will be 101. Now the next number will be 101 plus 3. So it will be 104, 107, and finally this series will go up to 998. So all we need to do is we need to find sum of this arithmetic progression. So we can find sum of this arithmetic progression as n by 2. Now what is number of terms in this expression? Number of terms in this expression will be 300. So it will be n by 2 and then a plus l. So it will be 101 plus 998. It will be 164850, and that's your option number B. Now question number 4 is, suppose that 6-digit numbers are formed using each of the digits 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 exactly once. The number of such 6-digit numbers that are divisible by 6 but not divisible by 9. So we know that we have to use all the digits. So we'll add all the digits to find their sum, So it'll be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9. So it'll be 10, 10 and 10. So this is 30. Now 30, it is divisible by 3, but it is not divisible by 9. So if we form a number using all these digits, then that number will be divisible by 3, but not divisible by 9. Now that number has to be divisible by 6. So that means it should be an even number. So we have to find total number of even numbers that can be formed using these digits. So we have a 6-digit number. Now, how many choices do we have for this units place? So for it to be even, we have 2 choices. So it'll be 2 here, and then it'll be 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. So it'll be simply factorial 5 into 2. So there'll be 120 into 2, and that is 240. So total number of such numbers is 240, and that's your option number C. Now here the question is, we need to solve this differential equation, which is dy by dx, and it is equal to 2xy upon x square minus y square. Now it is a homogeneous equation. So we can write this equation as dy by dx, and it'll be 2 y upon x, 1 minus y upon x whole square. Now we let v equals y upon x. So we can replace dv by dx with v plus x dv by dx, and it'll be 2v upon 1 minus v square. Now we'll take this v on the right hand side, then we can write x dv by dx, and it'll be 2v upon 1 minus v square minus v. So it'll be v plus v cube upon 1 minus v square. So we can write this as 1 minus v square and v 1 plus v square dv, and here it will be dx upon x. Now we'll multiply and divide everything with 2v. Now we'll take v square as t, then we can write this as 1 minus t dt upon t, 1 plus t, and it'll be 2 dx upon x. So we can use partial fraction, and then we can break this as 1 upon t minus 2 upon 1 plus t, and it is equal to 2 times dx upon x. Now we'll integrate it. We can write this as log t minus 2 log 1 plus t, it'll be 2 log x, and then we'll take this as log c. So we'll write this as log t upon 1 plus t square, and it will be equal to log cx square. We'll cancel this log with log. Now what's t? T is v square. So we can write v square upon 1 plus v square whole square, and it will be simply cx square. So we can write this as v and then under root c x into 1 plus v square. Now v is y by x. So we can write this as y by x, and then this is some constant, say c dash, and it is x, and here will be x square plus y square upon x square. Now here x will cancel, then we can write this as x square plus y square equals some constant into y. So answer to this question will be x square plus y square equals cy, and that's your option number A. Now question number 6, it is a very simple L'Hopital's rule question. It says we need to solve this limit. Now we'll put x as a, it is GA FA minus FA GA upon A minus A. So it is 0 upon 0 form. So we'll use L'Hopital's rule. We can write limit x tends to A, and here it will be G dash x into FA minus F dash x into GA upon 1. Now we'll put the value of x. So it will be G dash A into FA minus F dash A into GA. Now what's G dash A? G dash A is 2. What's FA? FA is also 2 minus F dash A, it is 1 and GA is minus 1. So it'll be 4 plus 1 and that'll be 5, and that's your option number D. Now question number 7 is, we'll need to simplify this expression, which is cos 100 plus iota sine 100 into cos 110 plus iota sine 110. Now we know that cis theta 1 into cis theta 2 is cis theta 1 plus theta 2. So we can write this as cos, now 100 plus 110 will be 210. So it will be cos 210 plus iota sine 210. Now cos 210 is cos 180 plus theta. Now cos 180 plus theta is minus cos theta. So it will be minus cos 30 plus iota, and here again sine 180 plus theta is minus sine theta. So it will be minus sine 30. Now cos 30 is root 3 by 2 and sine 30 is 1 by 2. So answer to this question will be 1 by 2 into minus root 3 minus iota, and that's your option number B. Now question number 8, it is a simple trigonometry question, and it says we need to find the value of 1 upon 2 sine 10 degrees minus 2 sine 70 degrees. So we can write this as 1 minus 2 into, now we write this as 2 sine 10 into sine 70 upon 2 sine 10 degrees. Now 2 sine A sine B, it is cos A minus B minus cos A plus B. So it will be 1 minus 2, and then cos A minus B, 70 minus 10, it will be cos 60 minus cos A plus B. So that will be simply cos 80 divided by 2 sine 10. Now cos 60 is 1 by 2. So we'll put the value of cos 60. So it will be 1 minus 2 into 1 by 2 plus 2 cos 80 upon 2 sine 10 degrees. Now 1 and 1 will cancel. 2 and 2 will also cancel. So we'll get this as cos 80 upon sine 10 degrees. Now cos theta is sine 90 minus theta. So it will be simply sine 10 upon sine 10, which is simply 1. And that's your option number D. Now question number 9 is, we need to find number of solution to this equation, which is sine square x plus 2 cos square x plus 3 sin x cos x equals 0 in the interval 0 to 2 pi, where 0 is included and 2 pi is not included. So what we'll do is, we'll divide everything with cos square x. So we can write this equation as 10 square x plus 3 10x plus 2 equals 0. We can factorize it as 10x plus 1 into 10x plus 2 equals 0. So either the value of 10x is minus 1 or the value of 10x is minus 2. We need to find number of solution of the equation. So what we'll do is, we'll use graphical method. So we'll draw the graph of 10x. So that is the graph of 10x between 0 and 2 pi. Now we need to find number of solutions of this equation when 10x is minus 1. So we'll draw a line at minus 1. It intersects the graph at 2 points, and then 10x is minus 2. So we'll draw a line at minus 2. Again, we'll get 2 more point of intersections. So the total number of solution to this equation will be 4. And that's your option number D. Now question number 10 is, the chance of student getting admitted to colleges A and B are 60% and 40%. So probability of getting admission in college A is 0.6 and probability of getting admission in college B is 0.4. Now, if a student is told that he has been admitted to at least one of the colleges, what is the probability that he has got admitted to college A? So we know that if A union B has already happened, we have to find this conditional probability A upon A union B. Now probability of A intersection A union B is simply probability of A, and here will be probability of A union B. So it will be probability of A, and then probability of A union B will be probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. Now getting admitted in any college, it is an independent event. So it says the colleges admit students independently. So we know that PA intersection B will be PA into PB. So we'll write this as probability of A upon probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A into probability of B. Now what's probability of A? It is 0.6, and here it will be 0.6, 0.4 minus 0.6 into 0.4 will be minus 0.24. So it will be 0.6 and 1 minus 0.24. So it will be 0.76. So it is nothing but 15 by 19, and that's your option number D. Now question number 11 is, given a positive integer m, we define fm as the highest power of 2 that divides m. If n is a prime number greater than 3, then f n cube minus 1 and f n minus 1, we'll need to find out how these two are related. Now we know that n cube minus 1 is n minus 1 into n square plus n plus 1. Now n cube minus 1, this is an even number. N square plus n plus 1. Now n square is odd, n is odd, and then plus 1. So it will be an odd number. Odd plus odd is even, even plus 1 is odd. So that means this n minus 1 will be even. Now suppose we say 2 to the power k divides n cube minus 1. If 2 to the power k divides n cube minus 1, then f n cube minus 1 will be k. Now this 2 to the power k must also divide this right hand side. Now this expression n square plus n plus 1, it is an odd number. So 2 to the power k, it cannot divide n square plus n plus 1. So it simply means 2 to the power k must divide n minus 1, and that is, we can write f n minus 1 is also equal to k. So from here we can say that f n cube minus 1 must be equal to f n minus 1, and that's your option number A. Now question number 12 is, how many triplets of real numbers x, y, z are simultaneous solutions of this equation x plus y equals 2 and xy minus z square equals 1. So what we'll do is, we'll take the value of y is 2 minus x, and we'll put the value of y in this second equation. Then we can write z square as x into, now y is 2 minus x minus 1. So z square will be 2x minus x square minus 1. Now we'll take minus common, we'll get x square minus 2x plus 1. So we'll write z square as minus x minus 1 whole square. Now we know that z square must be 0 or greater than 0. Now this expression minus x minus 1 whole square, it cannot be greater than 0. That means the only option possible here is when the value of z is 0, that is when the value of x is 1. Now if the value of x is 1, then the value of y is also 1. So the only solution to this system of equations will be 1, 0, 0, and that is only one solution, and that's your option number B. Now question number 13 is, let V be the vector space of all 4 cross 4 matrices such that sum of the elements in any row or any column is the same, then the dimension of V is. Now we know that in general, the dimension of subspace of M and K with equal row and column sum is n minus 1 square plus 1. So for this question, we'll be using this formula directly. If you are interested to know from where we get this formula, I'll put the link to a detailed solution in the description below. Now in our case, value of n is 4. So we'll put n as 4. Then this value will be 4 minus 1 whole square plus 1, which is 3 square, 9 plus 1 is 10. So the dimension of subspace of V is simply 10, and that's your option number B. Now question number 14 is a very simple question. It says this equation has non-trivial solution. So if a system of homogeneous equation has non-trivial solution, then the value of determinant is 0. So we can simply write A 1 1 1 B 1 and then 1 1 C, it should be 0. Now we'll take C1 as C1 minus C2 and C2 as C2 minus C3. Then we can write A minus 1, 0 and then 1. 1 minus B, B minus 1, 1. It'll be 0. 1 minus C and C, and it is 0. Now from this first one, we'll take 1 minus A common. From this second row, we'll take 1 minus B common. And from the third row, we'll take 1 minus C common. So we can write 1 minus A into 1 minus B into 1 minus C into, now this is minus 1, 0, 1 upon 1 minus A, 1 minus 1, 1 upon 1 minus B is 0, 1, C upon 1 minus C, and it is equal to 0. Now in the question it says A, B, C, they are unequal to 1. So this cannot be 0. That means the only option that we'll have here is this determinant minus 1, 0, 1 upon 1 minus A, 1 minus 1, 1 upon 1 minus B, 0, 1, C upon 1 minus C. This determinant should be 0. Now we'll expand this determinant. We'll get minus 1, and here will be minus C upon 1 minus C and minus 1 upon 1 minus B plus 1 upon 1 minus A into 1. It is equal to 0. So we'll write this as C upon 1 minus C plus 1 upon 1 minus B plus 1 upon 1 minus A is 0. Now what we'll do is we'll add 1 and subtract 1. So we can write this as minus 1 plus 1 upon 1 minus C plus 1 upon 1 minus B plus 1 upon 1 minus A as 0. So from here we'll write 1 upon 1 minus A plus 1 upon 1 minus B plus 1 upon 1 minus C, and this value is equal to 1. So the answer to this question is 1, and that's your option number A. Now question number 15 is we need to find a rank of this matrix. Now we know that we can take a submatrix which is 0, 1, 2, 2, and for this matrix its determinant is 0, 1, 2, 2, and it is minus 2, which is unequal to 0. So that means this matrix can have a rank as 2. So 2 is definitely possible. Now we need to find out whether this matrix can have rank 3. Now for this matrix to have rank 3, its determinant should be non-zero. So what we'll do is we'll find its determinant. So its determinant will be minus 1 and then 0 plus 2 and then plus t. So it'll be 4 minus 2t. So we'll get this as minus 2 plus 4t minus 2t square. So what we'll do is we'll take minus 2 common. So then we'll get t square minus 2t plus 1. So it'll be minus 2 into t minus 1 whole square. If t is 1, then in that case rank of A will be 2, and if t is unequal to 1, then the rank of this matrix will be 3. So this rank will be 2 or 3 depending on the value of t, and that's your option number C. Now question number 16 is if S and S dash are foci of this ellipse, which is 3x square plus 4y square equals 12, and P is a point on the ellipse, then perimeter of this triangle PSS dash is. So we have this ellipse and the focus are S and S dash. Then we have a point on this ellipse. We need to find its perimeter. So we know that perimeter is given by PS plus PS dash plus SS dash. Now we know that sum of any point from the two focus, it is always constant and it is equal to 2a, which is focal property of this ellipse. So that means this is 2a, and then SS dash is nothing but distance between two foci, and it is nothing but 2ae. So this perimeter will be 2a into 1 plus e. Now in this question we can write this ellipse as x square upon 4 plus y square upon 3 equals 1. Now here a square is 4 and b square is 3. So we know that b square is a square into 1 minus e square. So we'll get 4e square is 1. So value of e is simply 1 by 2. So we can write this perimeter as 2. Now what's the value of a? A is also 2, and then 1 plus 1 by 2. So it'll be 4 into 3 by 2, and that's 6, and that's your option number B. Now question number 17 is, we need to find reflection of this point 1, 2 with respect to this line, which is x plus 2y minus 15 equals 0. So we'll use the formula directly. So formula is x minus 1 upon a here is 1, equals y minus y1, y minus 2 upon b, which is 2, and then minus 2, we'll put the value of this point in this equation. So we'll get 1 plus 4 minus 15 upon a square plus b square. So it'll be 1 plus 4. So we'll get this as x minus 1, y minus 2 upon 2. Now here it will be minus 15 plus 5, minus 10, 20, 20 upon 5. So it will be simply 4. So value of x is 5 and value of y is 10. So reflection of this point about this line will be 5, 10, and that's your option number C. Now question number 18 is this differential equation with given initial value. We can write this equation as dy upon dx plus x, and then it will be e to the power minus y plus 2 equals 0. So we'll use variable separation. We'll get dy upon e to the power minus y plus 2, and it will be equal to minus x dx. We can write this as e to the power y dy upon 1 plus 2 e to the power y, and it will be equal to minus x dx. Now we'll integrate this. So we'll multiply it by 2. So this is t and that's dt. So it'll be log 1 plus 2 e to the power y, and here it'll be minus x square and then plus c. Now first we'll find the value of c. We know that when x is 0, y is 0. So we'll put y as 0. We'll get this as log 3 x is 0 plus c. Value of c is simply log 3. So we'll take this c on the left hand side. Then log m minus n is log m by n. We can write log 1 plus 2 e to the power y upon 3, and this value is equal to minus x square. Now we need to find value of y when the value of x is 1. If we'll put x as 1, we'll get log 1 plus 2 e to the power y upon 3, and it is minus 1. We'll take antilog. So it'll be 1 plus 2 e to the power y upon 3, and this is e to the power minus 1. So it'll be 1 upon e. So we'll get 2 e to the power y as 3 upon e minus 1. We'll divide by 2. We'll get e to the power y as 3 upon 2e minus 1 upon 2. We'll take log. We'll get y as log 3 upon 2e minus 1 by 2. And that's your option number A. Now question number 19 is actually a bonus question. ISI has awarded marks to every student. In this question, I think they have missed some crucial information to work out the answer. So it is given that G is an abelian group of order 12. We need to find order of A1, A2 and A12. From here we can prove that order of this element is at least 2. But then we cannot work out an exact answer, and that is the reason bonus was given for this question. Now question number 20 is, a function is called degenerate if it remains constant when xi varies. Now we have defined f x1 x2 as modulus of 2 to the power iota pi upon x1 to the power x2. Now we know that we can write a to the power x as e to the power log e to the power x. So we write this as e to the power log and then 2 to the power pi iota upon x1 to the power x2. So we can write this as e to the power. Now we'll take this power out. So it will be iota and then pi upon x1 log 2, and this is x2. Now e to the power iota theta, its magnitude is 1. So it will be 1 to the power x2, which is always 1. So this f x1 x2, it doesn't depend on x1 or x2. So it is degenerate on x1 and x2 both, and that's your option number A. Now question number 21 is, suppose that the number plate of a vehicle contains 2 vowels followed by 4 digits. However, to avoid confusion, the letter O and the digit 0 are not used in the same number plate. How many such number plates can be formed? So we have 2 positions for the vowels, which are A, E, I, O, U, and then we have 4 positions for the numbers starting from 0 to 9. Now the condition is, if we have letter O, then we cannot have digit 0. So we'll consider 3 cases. Case 1, when it doesn't have any O. Now if it doesn't have any O, then for these 2 places we have 4 choices. So it will be 4 here and then 4 here, and then for the numbers we can now put any number. So for each number there will be 10 choices. So it will be 16 into 10 to the power 4. So it will be 160000. Now we'll take the second case when both the letters are O. So if both the letters are O, then for the first one we have 1 choice. For the second one again we have 1 choice. Now since we have O, we cannot have 0 here. So here we'll get only 9 choices. So it will be 9 into 9 into 9, and that is 4 times. So it will be 9 to the power 4. And then this third case when exactly one of them is O and the other one is not O. So O is 1 and then not O is 4, and we can arrange them in 2 ways. So it will be 2 into 1 into 4 into, now again since we have this O, we cannot have 0. So for the numbers we'll again have 9 choices each. So it will be 8 into 9 to the power 4. So total number of such number plates will be 160000, and then if we'll add them, we'll get 9 to the power 4, 1 plus 8 is 9, so it'll be 9 to the power 5. So it'll be 160000, and then 9 to the power 5, 9 to the power 5 is 59049. So it'll be 219049, and that's your option number D. Now question number 22 is, a coin with probability P of getting heads is tossed until a head appears for the first time. If the probability that number of tosses required is even, this probability is 2 by 5, we need to find value of P. Now we know that if the number of toss required is even, then it should be either not head and then head at the second toss, or not head, not head, not head, and then heads at the 4th turn, or heads at the 6th turn, and this series will continue up to infinite, and this probability must be equal to 2 by 5. Now we know that this is nothing but an infinite GP. So sum of an infinite GP is P dash upon 1 minus, now what is the common ratio? Common ratio is P bar square, and this is equal to 2 by 5. Now we know that complement of P is simply 1 minus P, and here it should be 1 minus P square upon 2 by 5. Now we'll use A plus B, A minus B. We'll get this as P 1 minus P, and then P 2 minus P, and this is 2 by 5. Now P and P will cancel. We'll get 5 minus 5P, and it'll be equal to 2 into 2 minus 2P. So it'll be 3P is equal to 1. So value of P is simply 1 by 3. And that's your option number B. Now question number 23 is, let A be a 2 cross 2 matrix with real entries. Now we are given a function such that f(ax), which is a into x, if the image of every circle under fa is a circle of the same radius, then which of the following option is true? Now in the question, since it says radius is unchanged, so it simply means there is no change of scaling, there is just change of orientation. And when there is change of orientation, we know that this matrix A will simply be cos theta minus sin theta and cos theta. Now if we'll take A transpose, it will be cos theta sin theta, and then minus sine theta cos theta. Now we'll multiply them, A into A transpose, then it'll be cos square theta plus sine square theta, so it'll be 1, and then cos theta sine theta minus sine theta cos theta 0. Again here it'll be 0, and then finally it'll be sine square theta plus cos square theta, which is 1. So A into A transpose is equal to I. That means A must be an orthogonal matrix, and that's your option number A. Now question number 24 is, let f from R to R be a continuous function such that limit n tends to infinite, f n x exists for every x belongs to R, where f n x is composition of f n times for any n greater than or equal to 2. We have defined two sets, set S as limit n tends to infinite f n x for x belongs to R, and then the set T, which is fx equals x for x belongs to R. Now we'll start with this limit. Limit n tends to infinite f n x, and let it be some function, say hx. Now since f is continuous, we can write this hx as f and then limit n tends to infinite f n minus 1x. This limit n tends to infinite f n minus 1x will again be hx. So from here we can write hx is equal to f of hx, which again is of the form x equals fx when x lies in range of fx. So our set S is x equals fx for any x which lies in the range of fx. Now the set T, it is given as x belongs to R and fx equals x. Now both these sets, they look equal, but then here the crucial information is this S is when x lies in the range of fx. So essentially this S, it has to be subset of T. So answer to this question should have been S is a subset of T. ISI has given the answer as C, which is S equals T, considering x equals fx as same for both the functions. But then it is entirely up to the interpretation. Now question number 25 is, let ABC be non-zero real numbers such that this integral from 0 to 1 plus cos to the power 8x, ax square plus bx plus c dx is equal to 0 to 2, 1 plus cos to the power 8x, ax square plus bx plus c dx equals 0. Then we need to find nature of roots of this quadratic equation. So what we'll do is, we'll define a function, say ft, and we'll define it as 0 to t 1 plus cos to the power 8x into ax square plus bx plus c. Now we'll take this function and we'll apply Rolle's theorem in the interval 0 to 1. Now in 0 to 1 this function is continuous, it is differentiable, and if we'll find f0, f0 is 0, and f1 is this integral from 0 to 1, and it is already given that this integral is also 0. So all the three conditions, they are met. That is, this function is continuous, it is differentiable, and f is equal to fb. Then Rolle's theorem says at least one root of the equation f dash t equals to 0 will lie in the interval 0 to 1. So that means at least one root of 1 plus cos to the power 8t into at square plus bt plus c is equal to 0 will lie in 0 to 1. Now this 1 plus cos to the power 8t, it cannot be 0. So that means at least one root of this quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c will lie in this interval 0, 1. So from here we'll say at least one root will lie in 0, 1. Now if we take the same function fx, and again if we'll apply Rolle's theorem in the interval 1 to 2, this function is again continuous, it is differentiable. F1 it is 0, F2 it is also 0, so that means Again, one root of the equation f dash t equals to 0 will lie in the interval 1, 2. So from here again we can say at least one root of this quadratic ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0 will lie in 1, 2. Now it's a quadratic equation. It cannot have more than two roots. So that means exactly one root will lie between 0 and 1 and exactly one root will lie between 1 and 2. So it has two distinct real roots in 0, 2, and that's your option number D. Now question number 26 is, we are given this t which is 200 c100 upon 4 to the power 100, and then we need to find a range of this t. So what we'll actually do is we'll define a function fn, and we'll define this function fn as 2n cn upon 4 to the power n. Now we'll take the ratio of fn plus 1 upon fn will be 2n plus 2 cn plus 1 upon 4 to the power n plus 1, and then it'll be 4 to the power n and then 2n cn. We'll write this as 2n plus 2 factorial upon n plus 1 factorial, n plus 1 factorial, and then 4 to the power n. Here it will be 4 to the power n plus 1 factorial 2n factorial n factorial n. Now here 4 to the power n will cancel. Now 2n plus 2 will be 2n plus 2 into 2n plus 1 upon, here it will be n plus 1 square upon 4. Now we'll take 2 common, so this 4 will cancel, n plus 1 will also cancel. We'll get this as n plus 1 by 2 upon n plus 1. Now we know that n plus 1 by 2 is less than n plus 1, so that means this is less than 1. So from here we can say fn plus 1 will be less than fn, which makes this function a decreasing function. So it simply means f1 is greater than f2 is greater than f3 is greater than fn. So from here we can say f100 is less than f4, f3, f2 and f1. Now what's f100? f100 is 200 c100 upon 4 to the power 100, and it is less than f4. What's f4? f4 is 8 c4 upon 4 to the power 4, which is 70 upon 256, which is less than 1 by 3. So from here we can say that this t is less than 1 by 3, and that's your option number A. Now question number 27 is, a general election is to be scheduled on 5 days in May such that it is not scheduled on 2 consecutive days. In how many ways can the 5 days be chosen to hold the election? Now this is nothing but it is non-consecutive selection. We have already discussed non-consecutive selection in one of the previous videos. So I'll provide the link to that video in the description below. Here we are just going to use the formula. So if we have n objects and if they are arranged in a row and we have to select r objects so that no 2 objects they are consecutive, it is given by the formula n minus r plus 1 cr. Now in May we have 31 days, so that means value of n is 31. We need to find 5 non-consecutive days, so value of r is 5. So number of such selections will be n, which is 31 minus 5 plus 1 c5, and will be 32 minus 5, that should be 27 c5, and that's your option number B. Now question number 28 is, we are given 2 functions f and g in the interval 0 to 1 such that fx is 1 by 2x into x plus 1 and gx is 1 by 2x square into x plus 1. Now we know that when x lies between 0 and 1, x is greater than x square. So from here we can say fx must be equal to gx. Now in this interval we are given functions fx and gx fx will always lie above gx. We need to find area enclosed by graphs of f inverse and g inverse. Now area between f and g is this area. Now f inverse and g inverse, it is nothing but it is reflection of f and g about y equals x line. Now we'll reflect both the functions about y is equal to x line. Their position will be different, but then area will remain the same. So in order to find area between inverse functions, we'll just find area between these two functions. So area between these two functions will be 0 to 1 and then y of f minus y of g. So it'll be 1 by 2x into x plus 1 minus 1 by 2 x square into x plus 1 dx. Now here we'll take 1 by 2x into x plus 1 common. Then we'll get 1 minus x dx. So it'll be 0 to 1 and then 1 by 2x. It'll be 1 minus x square dx. So it'll be 1 by 2 from 0 to 1 x minus x cube dx. So it'll be 1 by 2 and then 1 by 2 minus 1 by 4. So it'll be simply 1 by 8. So area between f inverse and g inverse will be the area between f and g, and that is 1 by 8, and that's your option number C. Now question number 29 is, let psi be a continuous function such that psi y is 0 for all y which doesn't lie between 0 and 1, and this integral from 0 to 1 psi y dy is 1. We need to find this limit, which is limit n tends to infinite n into this integral from 0 to 100 fx into psi nx dx. Now what we'll do is we'll use substitution to make it some y. So we'll take let nx equals y, then dx is nothing but it is 1 upon n dy. So we can write this limit as limit n tends to infinite and then n dx is dy. So it'll be f y upon n psi y dy, and then this integral from 0, and then when x is 100 it will be simply 100n. Now we can write this as limit n tends to infinite from 0 to 1 f y by n psi y dy plus limit n tends to infinite from 1 to 100n f y by n psi y dy. Now when y doesn't lie between 0 and 1, psi y is 0. So this function is 0. So this limit will simply be 0. Now we can write this limit as from 0 to 1 limit n tends to infinite f y by n and then psi y dy. Now when n tends to infinite, 1 upon n is 0. So it will be simply from 0 to 1 f0 psi y dy. We can take this f0 out, and then what is integral of psi y dy? It is nothing but 1. So answer to this limit is f0, and that's your option number A. Now question number 30 is, we are given a function h defined on 0 to 10 such that h0 is 0 and h10 is 10. We are given this relationship, which is 2hi minus hi minus 1, and it is equal to hi plus 1 minus hi. For all I from 1 to 9, we need to find the value of h1. So what we'll do is we'll say let h1 be some number n. Then we can find h2. Now in this functional equation, if we'll put I as 1, we'll get 2h1 minus h0, and it is equal to h2 minus h1. Now h0 is 0 and h1 is n. So we'll get h2 as 3n. Now in the same way, we can find h3. So we'll put I as 2, we'll get 2 h2 minus h1, and this is h3 minus h2. Now h2 is 3n, h1 is n, and this is h3 minus h2 is nothing but it is 3n. So we'll get h3 as 7n. If we look at the pattern, h1 is n, h2 is 3n, h3 is 7n, next one will be 15n. We can find hi should be 2 to the power of I minus 1 into n. Now it is given that h10 is 10. So we'll put I as 10, we'll get h10 and it'll be 2 to the power of 10 minus 1 into n, and n is nothing but it is h1. So we can write n as h10, which is 10 upon 2 to the power of 10 minus 1, and n is h1. So value of h1 is 10 upon 2 to the power 10 minus 1, and that's your option number C.